you've ever spent 20 minutes trying to convince your loved one that they're safe, that it's Tuesday, that their mother died years ago, or that they're already home and somehow they become even more upset, then today's video is for you. Because today's video is going to completely change how you communicate with your person with dementia. Because sometimes it's not what you should say that matters most, it's what you should stop saying. So today I'll walk you through the 5 phrases to never say to someone with dementia, why they backfire, and what you can say instead. Hi, for those of you new here, I'm Dr. Sinclair, a neuropsychologist, dementia care specialist, and founder of the Confident Caregiver Academy. Let's jump on in. One of the biggest mistakes care partners make is assuming the goal is to fix confusion. It isn't. The goal is to reduce the stress from the confusion. And that's a huge mindset shift because once someone becomes upset, anxious, fearful, or defensive, their brain is no longer able to effectively use logic or facts. Instead, it's searching for something more basic, safety. And that's why so many well-intentioned phrases actually make things worse, while a few simple changes can completely shift the conversation. So let's start with the first phrase you should never say and what to say instead. One quick note. Before we jump in, these aren't meant to be exact scripts that you memorize. Every person and every situation is different. I'm using these examples to teach you the communication principles behind what works so you can adapt them naturally to your loved one. Okay? First phrase. Instead of saying, no, that's not right, or you're wrong, try saying some variation of, I can see this is really important to you. Let me explain why this phrase is so powerful. One of the biggest misconceptions about dementia is that it's primarily solely a memory problem. It's actually much more than that. As dementia progresses, the brain gradually loses the ability to accurately store, retrieve, and update information, certainly. But here's what's missing for a lot of care partners. Emotional processing often remains intact much longer than factual memory. In other words, your loved one may not remember why they're upset, all the factual details, but they're actually feeling that upset. So think about the caregiver whose husband insists he needs to get to work. The caregiver sees a retired man who's confused and attempts to give him the facts. But what might he be experiencing? A sense of responsibility to get to work, purpose, pressure, maybe even fear about being late. Because for 40 years, his brain was wired to wake up, get ready, and go to work. That emotional imprint, responsibility, purpose, pressure, doesn't simply disappear. So when you respond with the facts, you retired 15 years ago, you're addressing the fact, but they're experiencing the feeling. And when the feeling goes unaddressed, the distress escalates. That's why validation is so important and it works splendidly. And validation doesn't mean you're agreeing with them. Validation means you're recognizing the emotional experience underneath that mistaken belief. What are they experiencing? When you can say something like, I can see this is really important to you. How can I help? You're telling them, I see your experience, and that immediately lowers the brain's need to defend itself. So caregiver translation. The dementia brain often loses access to facts before it loses access to feelings. So don't just listen to what's being said so that you can correct them. Listen to what they're feeling so that you can help them. Second phrase, never say, calm down. Try some variation of this instead. You're safe, I'm here with you. This next insight completely changed the way many caregivers I work with communicate. When dementia affects memory systems, people lose their ability to reliably predict what happens next. And our brains crave predictability. Think about how you feel when you don't know what's happening. Maybe you're waiting for medical test results or sitting through turbulence on an airplane. Your anxiety increases because uncertainty increases. Now imagine living with that feeling throughout the day, every day. That's often what it feels like to have dementia. The world becomes unpredictable. People look unfamiliar, places feel confusing, time becomes difficult to understand, and when predictability decreases, the brain naturally starts scanning for danger and threat. This is why many dementia-related behaviors are actually fear-based behaviors, repeated questions, shadowing you, calling out for you all the time, wanting reassurance, wanting someone nearby. These are often attempts to regain a sense of safety because everything feels so uncertain and unpredictable. That's why saying some variation of "you're safe," "I'm here with you," "it will be okay," "I'll take care of it, don't worry," works so much better than repeatedly explaining facts to them or telling them to calm down. Safety is what's going to calm them down. Caregiver translation. When anxiety is driving the behavior, solely giving information or saying "calm down" rarely solves the problem. Safety does. Quick pause. If this is helping you to understand dementia a little bit better, if you've learned at least one new thing, please go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel. That one small action helps other caregivers to find our community and get the support that they also need. Thank you. Now let's move on to our next phrase, to never say. Never say, "You need to," "just," "come on." Instead, try saying some variation of "let's do this together." One of the most painful parts of dementia is the gradual loss of independence. Imagine if every day someone reminded you that you needed help. Help getting dressed, help remembering appointments, help managing medications, help completing tasks you've done independently your entire life. Over time, that can feel incredibly threatening because independence isn't just about doing things. It's tied to identity, our dignity, pride, and our self-respect. Many caregivers think refusal behaviors happen because the person with dementia is being stubborn. Sure, sometimes that's the case. Oftentimes, though, something deeper is happening. Your person with dementia is trying to protect a sense of control. And the more we push with commands, "you need to do this," "come on," "just take your medication," the more their brain interprets the situation as a threat to autonomy. And what happens when we humans feel that our autonomy is threatened? We resist like hell. Okay? Children resist, teenagers resist, adults resist, and people with dementia resist too. That's why collaboration works so much better. When you can say some variation of "let's do this together," you're communicating partnership rather than control. The brain relaxes because it no longer feels like it's in a battle. Caregiver translation. Many refusals aren't about the task, they're about preserving dignity. The more dignity you preserve, the less resistance you'll often see. Fourth phrase, never say, "but you are home." Try some variation of this instead. Do you need to get something? What do you need from home? This phrase becomes especially important when someone says, "I want to go home." Because here's something that a lot of you may not realize. Home is not often a location, but home is instead an emotion. When dementia progresses, people often lose access to words needed to describe complex emotional experiences. So instead of saying, "I feel scared," "I feel lonely," "I feel disconnected," "I feel confused," they may simply say, "I want to go home." And understandably, you all often respond with, "but you are home, Mom." The problem is that you're answering the literal statement while the person is trying to communicate an emotional need. Let me give you a real example from a caregiver I work with in my academy. Her loved one lives in a separate house directly across the driveway from hers. When this care partner first began the academy, she shared that every evening after finishing dinner, they would walk together to her loved one's home. And almost every single night as they reached the driveway, her loved one would say, "I want to go home. I'm getting in my car and I'm going home." At first, this was incredibly confusing because they were already heading home. In fact, home was literally across the driveway, as I mentioned. So naturally, that care partner tried explaining, "but you are going home. Home is right there," and pointing and giving all the facts, all the things that you guys do. But the comments kept happening night after night. After learning how to decode this dementia-related behavior in the academy, she began looking beyond the words and asking a different question. What is my loved one actually trying to communicate? What need am I missing? She realized this wasn't really about a house. It wasn't about driving anywhere. It wasn't even about a home. What her loved one was trying to communicate was, I don't want this time with us together to end. I'm lonely. I want to stay here with you. Once she understood the emotional need underneath those words, my care partner's entire nighttime routine changed with her loved one. So I want you to know they're often longing for familiarity, predictability, comfort, belonging. And when you argue about the location, you miss the meaning. When you can say, that sounds really hard. What do you need to get from home? Do you need to get something from home? Some variation of that, it brings you closer to what they're trying to communicate to you. Caregiver translation. When someone with dementia says they want to go home, ask yourself what feeling might they actually be searching for right now. Home is often not a physical location, a place. It's often an emotion, a feeling. Final phrase. Never say, no, that's wrong. You already told me that. Try some variation of this instead. You may be right about that. Let's check that together. You may be right. Let me explain why correction so often backfires with dementia. One of the jobs of the brain is helping us feel competent, helping us feel capable, helping us feel like we understand the world. But dementia gradually erodes those abilities. Now imagine hearing throughout the day, all day, no, that's wrong, you forgot, that's not what happened, what are you talking about? Imagine hearing that all day. Even if every correction is accurate, even if every correction is well-intentioned, the emotional experience of that can feel like I'm failing. I'm losing control. I can't trust myself. What's wrong with me? And when people start feeling threatened in that way, their brain becomes so defensive. Not just in dementia, but in all of us, right? If all day, every day, we're hearing how wrong we are going to start to fight about that. Think about the last disagreement you had. The harder someone pushed you, the more likely you dug your heels in. The same thing is going to happen here with a person with dementia. The more we insist, the more they resist. The more we correct, the more defensive they become, because the brain shifts into that protection mode. That's why phrases like, you might be right about that. Let's check on that together. Right? It's effective because it helps to preserve their dignity, and it also communicates a sense of respect that you might be right about that. Let's look into that together. It also communicates a sense of collaboration, which we've also discussed is so effective. Caregiver translation. Not every mistake needs correcting. One of the most freeing questions you're going to start asking yourself is, does being right help the situation, or does being connected help the situation? Few final thoughts as we wrap up. I want you to notice something. None of the 5 phrases we talked about today improve memory. None of them cure confusion. None of them stop dementia from progressing. So why do they work? Why are they so effective? Because they're not trying to change the disease. They're responding to the human being living with the disease. They're reducing fear, increasing safety, protecting dignity, and helping someone feel understood. In my experience, that's where some of the most meaningful moments in dementia care can happen. Not when someone suddenly remembers, but when someone feels safe, connected, and loved. So I hope today's video helped you all to feel that, and to feel that with your person with dementia. If there's one thing I want you to remember, it's this. The words may not always make sense, but the emotion underneath absolutely does. When we stop focusing only on the words that they're saying and start trying to understand the need underneath them, communication takes on a whole new meaning. You start connecting more, you start reducing the stress, and those moments matter most because dementia is terminal. The time you have together is precious. This is all you get. This is all you get, folks. So more time feeling connected and less in distress is what I hope for you. If you'd like even more support, I've gone ahead and put together the free Dementia Care Starter Kit. It's linked below. Go ahead and grab that to better understand dementia. And for those of you who want to take the guesswork out of dementia caregiving altogether and want to work with me in the academy, go ahead and schedule a call with me. The link below that says work with me is also below. I hope today's video was helpful, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.